I was a minister before I did this work, and then decided I needed another career. Sent out about 2,000 resumes and got several interviews, and one of those was here with Karen Brady. Started working here at the county board as a case manager. That was in 1995, right after they built this new building that we're in. And just fell in love with it. I worked here as case manager for 4 or 5 years, and then went over and worked as a director of WestCon, a council of governments, and did that for 11 or 12 years, and then was hired here as superintendent. And I must say, it's been the best job and the most meaningful career I could ever imagine having. So very pleased to be doing what I'm doing. When I first started here, the main job at the workshop was doing clamps. And we all remember that, muffler clamps. Everyone came in clean and left filthy. Grease all over you, in your face, in your eyes, on your hands. And it was a dirty job, but it was the job that we had for years and years and years. Now we don't do them at all. I'm proud to say that when I go out into our workshop, most of the people are in the community doing things. If you go back 60 years, if you go back 61 years, there was virtually no service at all for anyone with a developmental disability in this community. If you had a child and you went to the doctor and that child had a recognized disability, the doctor's advice to you and to your family was to put that child into an institution where they would be ignored, where they would be abused. In almost every situation, that's what happened. Or you could keep them home, but they were not acceptable in the community. It was a crime that we really, for generations for millennia actually, had happened. And then a small group of people, a grassroots effort, 4 or 5 family members got together and said, we want our children raised in a different way than we were. So, so they pulled together those children and about $6,000 and put it together to form a school. Got a station wagon, a school teacher, rent for a facility, pulled all that together and kept that going year after year after year. Eventually ended up getting a levy passed, a very small levy, less than 1 mil, and kept that going. Never stopped from 1960 till today because a small grassroots effort. And fortunately, we're from a community that was very open to that. So that continues to grow today. First thing I'd want to say is thank you. Looking back at me, most of those people are not with us today. Many of them have passed away. I can't say thank you enough. They started it without pay. They started it without any personal gain. This was, to them, something they loved and something they wanted to see happen. But they had to do it from their own pocketbooks. I must say that I've never had to do that. None of our employees here have. We've been paid from day one. Thank you to that generation that did it strictly from their heart. Without question, it's love. The love for people with disability. Let me take a minute here, take a breath. Although people with disabilities were always loved by their families, they didn't always feel that love from the community. So the love of their families said, we want something more. That love hasn't stopped. It's grown. It's multiplied. I must say, I worked in church work before I started here. I thought I was in a great job, and I thought I was doing things that were very meaningful. Let me tell you, it doesn't compare to what's happening here. Isn't that what it's all about? That's what we desire. We want to be loved. Individuals with disabilities want to be loved. They want to be accepted. And that's the thread that has gone through this for 60 years, and I hope for another millennia continues. Looking into the future, what happened 60 years ago just continues. That love continues for people with disabilities, but also the commitment of saying, we're going to make sure that this happens, and that people are going to be accepted in this community, into their schools. We now look at our history and saying, I see people with disabilities as people. They're one of us. They're part of our society. They are what make us whole. If we don't accept them, we are made less, not them. We've become less because of that. The year 2020 is momentous for us. Celebrating 60 years is more than anything I can imagine that we're going to celebrate this year. Starting from a group of people who loved their children, and now coming to the fruition of 60 years later of us having a great facility, having great workers, over hundreds of people caring about those people with disabilities in our community. We have fulfilled, I think, the dream that they had 60 years ago. And I think if each of those persons who started this those many years ago were able to be here today, would be filled with joy. I'm very proud to be a part of Logan County because people here care. They're willing to take a step out and do more than just what is typical, are willing to do more than what is expected, to go out of the way to serve people of all abilities. What I want to see is that the staff that are here today, that they're able to look back 60 years and see where we've come from and say, I want this to continue another 60 years, and then another 60 years, and another 60 years, because what we have here is something beautiful, something worthwhile. And I think if we were able in 60 years from now to come here in Logan County and see what's happening with people with developmental disabilities, we would want to see what people 60 years ago see today.